We're going to head back to the early 90s and another Van Damme film. Let's get into it. Back to my channel. Hope everyone's doing well out there. And we're heading back to the early 90s, 1992 to be precise, and for another Jean-Claude Van Damme film. This time we're going to talk about Universal Soldier. I saw this film in the drive-ins at 92 with my parents, and I've always liked this film. We're going to talk about it. This film was directed by Roland Emmerich. Actually, this was his first American film. He had directed 4 films previous to this, but they were all overseas. This is the first time he directed an American film. And in 94, he wanted to do Stargate, and in 96, he did Independence Day, which was a huge hit. And I love that film, and he's done many other big films after that. Now, this is Van Damme teamed up with Dolph Lundgren. In this film, Van Damme plays Luke. He is a soldier, and being in the film, we see him in Vietnam as a private. And Dolph Lundgren plays Andrew Scott. I believe he's a sergeant in the film, and we also see him in Vietnam as well. And Clarico produced this film. Clarico at the time was having financial difficulties. They were hoping this film would help them get out of their financial troubles. Unfortunately, not too long after this, Clarico folded, but this was one of the films. This film ended up being a small hit. This film had a $23 million budget. It was released July 10th of 1992. Yes, I saw it in the drive-ins that summer. I believe it at the Laurel Drive-In in Hazleton, Pennsylvania, or by McAdoo, Pennsylvania, if you're from the area. It had a $23 million budget. In this country, it made 36, and worldwide combined, it made 102. So it did make some money, but unfortunately, it wasn't enough to solve Clarico's problems. Also in this film is Ellie Walker as Veronica Roberts. She is a reporter in this film. Edel Ross plays Colonel Perry, and Edel Ross is a character actor, especially if you like 80s cinema through the early 90s. You've probably seen him in a lot of films pop up. He was in Red Heat, Another 48 Hours. He was in Lethal Weapon. He was in The Hidden, which I keep talking about. If you've never seen that film, check that out. He was in Action Jackson. He was in Full Metal Jacket. He was in plenty of films that, especially if you're an R-rated action film fan, you've probably seen this man show up. And Jerry Orbach is in this film as well as Dr. Christopher Gregor, although his role got changed. They changed the film, especially the ending after they test screened it, and we'll talk about that then. This film opens up in Vietnam, and we were introduced to Luke as a private, and we're introduced to Dolph Lundgren's character, Sergeant Andrew Scott. And Sergeant Scott is starting to lose his effing mind. He's collecting ears off of Vietnamese people he has killed, and he's about to execute this young couple in this hut. And Luke's trying to talk him down off of it. He just wants to go home. His tour is up. He's ready to go home and see his parents. And unfortunately, Sergeant Scott executes one of the prisoners, and him and Luke get into a fight, because Luke's trying to stop him from killing the other one, which he does successfully kill with a grenade. And they both kill each other. They shoot each other to death. But their bodies, when they come to get recovered, they're not fully dead. They're marked down as MIAs, missing in action, and they are shipped off to this lab that we don't get to see at the beginning of the film. But we find out later they were shipped off for this program, the Unisol program, which we see when we're brought back to present day. And actually at the Hoover Dam, there's a hostage situation with some terrorists that have a bomb, and these guys are brought in and they take out the terrorists, but it's very hush-hush and it's off the books. Like, the government really isn't aware of it. It's like privately funded through the military, but not really. It's kind of kept off to the side because they know that the bean counters in Washington never would have went for this program. And Luke is back, although they're enhanced with muscle enhancers, steroids kind of, and they're just basically there to take orders. But soon, right after this, Luke starts having flashbacks to that night that him and Sergeant Scott got in their fight in Vietnam, he starts remembering what was going on, and he starts acting strange. And the scientists that are there that help with the soldiers to keep them going are like, there's a problem, but Colonel Perry says no, he's fine. He talks to him and says, you're here to follow orders, and that's all you're here for. And Luke says the same thing, and they're happy. But soon we come into problems. See, Veronica Roberts is a reporter, and she's trying to track down who these guys are. So she goes out in the middle of the desert where they're stationed for now before they take off, and she starts snooping around, and her cameraman get caught, and Dolph Lundgren's character executes the cameraman, and Luke helps her escape because he starts fully remembering that night in Vietnam, almost having like Total Recall, like Schwarzenegger in Total Recall. and they take off. And this becomes a road movie and a chase film. The army is after them because they want their Unisol back, and they're willing to do whatever they have to keep this hush-hush. And there's a cool scene at the hotel. We get a long, extended shootout. Luke and Veronica get away, and there's massive explosions, there's gunfights, there's a cool car chase, bus chase, with the tractor trailer that Unisols stay on, and the bus that Luke and Veronica find themselves on. And it's shot by the Grand Canyon. There's a lot of areas that they shot this film in Arizona that I have actually been to, because when I lived in Arizona, my wife and I had traveled around the state a lot. And basically, by this point, Scott has killed everybody, and he's just on a vendetta to kill Luke. And they think Scott's dead because he goes over to Cliff in the truck, and they go to Jerry Orbach, Dr. Christopher Gregor, who helped create Van Damme's character, but he's not involved with it anymore. And he tells them where his parents live, so they go off to Louisiana, find his parents. Scott shows up. We have our final showdown around his barn, and at the end of the film, Luke dispatches of Scott, and we have a happy ending, and Luke is home with his parents where he wants to be. So that's pretty much Universal Soldier. Now during the way they do set up the rules. Now these soldiers, they're enhanced soldiers for sure, but they have a problem. They can overheat over time, and once they do that, there's an indicator on their wrist to let them know, and they have to cool down. Now on the truck they have like a refrigeration unit where they can go in and sit down. But the Luke doesn't have that when they're on the run, so they have to put him in bathtubs full of ice to bring his temperature down. And they take muscle enhancers to make them strong and kind of unstoppable. Not really, though. You can stop them if you shoot them enough. But basically, the selling point of this film was you have Lundgren and Van Damme in the same film. At the time, that was a big deal. I mean, Van Damme was the bigger action star at this point than Dolph Lundgren. I mean, Dolph Lundgren was continually doing movies, but he wasn't the huge... Van Damme was definitely the bigger star here, but I like both of them in this film. And Dolph Lundgren was just coming off of Showdown in Little Tokyo in '91, which is a cool, kick-ass little film. If you've never seen that, check that out. But overall, I've always liked this film. Ever since I saw it as a kid, it's very well done. They set up the rules for the soldiers, and they pretty much stick to it throughout the film. There's a cool diner scene where Van Damme's character is just eating, and he keeps eating and keeps eating because he likes it so much, and he can't pay because he has no money, obviously. And he gets in this brawl with the cook, and these other guys there. It's a cool scene. It's kind of a little bit played for laughs, but it's really well shot. Roland does a nice job with the action here for sure. I would give Universal Soldier an 8.5 out of 10. I like it that much. It's a really well done early 90s action film starring Van Damme and Dolph Lundgren. Now, the Vietnam scenes in the beginning of the film and throughout the film, the flashbacks were shot on a golf course in Kingman, Arizona. They just dressed it to look like Vietnam, but it really wasn't. And at the end of the film, the barn scene wasn't originally in the film. At the end of the film, Luke's mom dies, and then Luke dies at the end of the film as well. They went back and reshot after a test screening, and they added that scene with the barn, and they changed the ending where Luke survives and so do his parents, and we have a happy ending. Which kind of makes sense. You're with this character the whole way, and you kind of want to see him survive. Because he's played for a good guy. Once he starts realizing what's going on, even though he has his childlike sensibilities through a lot of it, like he's learning again how to become an adult. I like that aspect of it. I just think Roland Emmerich did a nice job with this film. It's pretty well shot. There's some really cool action scenes. I like the setup. I like the sci-fi aspect of it, although they don't really keep... It's not really a sci-fi film. I mean, there is some sci-fi elements, but it's an R-rated action film from the early 90s. And they definitely go there. It's definitely an R-rated film, and it's well done. I've always enjoyed this film. Not so much the sequels. I don't think the sequels are all that good. The first one's definitely the best one. But yeah, an 8.5 out of 10 for Universal Soldier. What are your thoughts on this film? Leave a comment down below. Let me know. Hit the thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button. Share this video. I greatly would appreciate that. I'll be back later in the week with the Delta Force review. Yes, we're going back to Canon Films territory and some Chuck Norris. And until then, I hope you're all doing well out there, and I'll see you soon. Bye.